The room goes dark before anyone screams. For one impossible second, the ward is silent. Then the iron lungs stop breathing. You are lying inside a steel cylinder in the 1950s, with only your head outside the machine. Your chest cannot rise on its own. The motor is not comfort. It is survival. When electricity fails, the danger is not dramatic. It is mechanical. A pressure rhythm disappears, and the body trapped inside the machine waits for air that may not come. In a polio ward, breathing is a schedule measured in seconds. The iron lung lowers pressure around the body, pulls the chest outward, then releases. Again and again. Life by repetition. Now that repetition has stopped, the lights are gone. The motor is dead. Somewhere in the darkness, a nurse reaches for the emergency handle. The iron lung was designed to give breathing back to people whose muscles had been weakened or paralyzed by disease. But it also created a terrifying dependency. If the machine failed, time collapsed. For someone inside, the world is reduced to metal walls, a rubber collar at the neck, and the sound of strangers trying not to panic. Your first enemy is not pain. It is carbon dioxide. If air does not move, stale breath becomes poison inside the body, and confusion can arrive before rescue does. The second enemy is fear. Panic demands movement. The iron lung allows almost none. You cannot sit up. You cannot run. You cannot fix the machine that is supposed to keep you alive. Across the ward, attendants move by flashlight. Their job is brutally simple. Find the manual pump, attach it correctly, and recreate the rhythm of a human breath with their own hands. The machine works by negative pressure. It does not push air into the mouth. It changes pressure around the body so the chest can expand and air can enter naturally. That design could save lives, especially before modern ventilators became common. But during a blackout, the same design demands constant motion from someone outside the cylinder. One wrong pace can hurt the patient. Too fast, and the rhythm becomes distressing. Too slow, and the body slips towards suffocation. Survival becomes a metronome in the dark. The ward itself becomes a machine. Nurses count seconds. Orderlies hold lamps. Someone listens for leaks. Someone watches the patient's face for the first sign that air is not enough. This is mid-century medicine under pressure. Steel, rubber seals, vacuum lines, glass gauges, tired hands, and no guarantee that the backup system will arrive in time. The sound changes first. With power, the iron lung has a steady mechanical pulse. Without it, every breath must be forced by a crank, bellows, or emergency lever. For the person inside, each manual stroke becomes a question. Is it enough? Is the rhythm steady? Will the next breath come before the body begins to fail? The room is hot and cold at the same time. Sweat gathers under the seal, but the metal feels like winter. The body is enclosed. The mind has nowhere to go. Polio could leave a person awake, aware, and unable to breathe. That is what made the iron lung both miraculous and terrifying. It could preserve consciousness inside total dependence. In many hospitals, rows of these machines created entire breathing wards. Each cylinder held a private emergency, one life tied to pressure, timing, and vigilance. A blackout turns that arrangement into a chain reaction. One machine is frightening. A room full of them is a test of staff, equipment, training, and luck. The first decision is triage. Who needs immediate manual ventilation? Which machine still holds pressure? Which patient is showing distress? In the dark, judgment becomes survival equipment. You hear names called from one end of the ward to the other. Not for drama, for coordination. Every second wasted on confusion is a second stolen from someone's lungs. The manual pump is not heroic. It is exhausting. The person operating it must keep a steady rhythm while fear, noise, darkness, and fatigue work against them. After 1 minute, the hands feel it. After 5, the shoulders burn. After 10, the room understands the truth. Electricity had been doing the work of many people. The patient inside cannot help. That is the cruelty of the machine. The person most at risk has the least control over the emergency. A leak at the collar can ruin the pressure cycle. A loose port can weaken the breath. A stuck valve can turn a rescue into a failure. Small defects become enormous. The flashlight beam moves across gauges and hoses. No blood, no chaos, just numbers, rubber, metal, and a body waiting for pressure to become breath. If the hospital has a generator, someone must reach it, start it, and connect the load. But generators in older facilities could be unreliable, slow, or limited, so the ward keeps pumping. The rhythm becomes the only clock that matters. Not minutes, not hours, just in, out, because stopping is not an option. The psychological pressure is almost impossible to measure. Imagine hearing the machine fail while knowing your next breath depends entirely on someone else staying calm. Your body asks for air with animal urgency. Your mind must do the opposite. Stay still. Trust the hands outside. Do not fight the collar. Do not waste breath on panic. For nurses, the danger is also emotional. They are not just operating equipment. They are standing between a conscious patient and a silence that could kill. The iron lung made survival visible. It turned breathing into architecture. A body in a tube, a face exposed, a machine breathing where muscle could not. But that visibility also exposed the weakness of the age. Medicine had learned how to extend life mechanically, but power grids, staffing, and emergency systems still had limits. The worst moment comes when the blackout lasts longer than expected. What began as a temporary failure becomes an endurance contest. One attendant is replaced by another. The manual rhythm continues. A nurse checks the seal again. Someone whispers reassurance because the patient can hear everything. This is not the survival of mountains, trenches, or storms. It is survival by maintenance, survival by procedure, survival by hands refusing to stop. Outside the ward, the hospital is a maze of dark corridors. Inside, the entire universe has narrowed to a cylinder and the fragile movement of air. A successful rescue does not feel like victory at first. It feels like delay. The machine is still silent. The power is still gone. The next breath must still be made. If the pump rhythm slips, the patient may become restless, disoriented, or dangerously weak. The signs can be subtle, and subtle signs are easy to miss in darkness. That is why the staff watches the face. Color, expression, eye movement, effort, fear. In a machine that hides the body, the face becomes the warning panel. Every object in the room has a role: flashlight, stopwatch, tubing, gasket, crank, chart, blanket, wrench. Nothing feels ordinary when air depends on it. The past gives no mercy to poor preparation. A missing tool, a dead battery, a jammed valve, or a locked supply room can become part of the emergency. Then, somewhere beyond the ward, a generator catches. The sound is distant at first, almost imaginary. Staff pause for half a second, but the pumping does not stop. Power returning is not the end. The machine must restart properly. The pressure must stabilize. The patient must be checked. Relief comes only after the rhythm is safe again. When the motor begins to pulse, the room exhales. Not all at once. Slowly, carefully, as if even relief might disturb the fragile machine. For the person inside, the sound that once felt imprisoning now sounds like rescue. The iron lung is still a cage, but it is also the reason morning might come. This is the brutal contradiction of medical survival. The machine that traps you may be the only thing keeping you alive. By the mid-20th century, polio wards forced hospitals to confront a new reality. Saving life meant keeping machines alive too. The iron lung belongs to a period when medicine, engineering, and epidemic fear met inside one steel cylinder. It was hope built like a coffin and operated like a clock. A blackout reveals the truth hidden inside every machine. Technology extends human strength, but in crisis, human discipline must replace technology. One mistake changes everything. A bad seal, a missed rhythm, a delayed generator, a frightened hand. The margin between survival and failure becomes terrifyingly thin. And yet, the people in those wards often endured more than one night, more than one scare, more than one failure of comfort. Survival became routine without ever becoming safe. So imagine the room again. Dark hospital, stopped motor, steel cylinder, one exposed face, and a pair of hands trying to imitate breath. You cannot move. You cannot fix the machine. You cannot bargain with your lungs. You can only wait for the next pressure change and hope the rhythm holds. History often remembers the iron lung as a symbol of rescue. But inside a blackout, it becomes something else, a test of trust under metal. The machine does not care how afraid you are. The body does not care that help is trying. It only knows one question: is air arriving in time? When the lights finally return, the ward looks almost normal. But everyone there understands what the darkness revealed. Survival was never promised by the machine. It was borrowed from electricity, discipline, training, and the exhausted hands that refused to stop. Could you stay calm inside the steel? Could you trust strangers to breathe for you? Could you survive this?